Practically not weird. Wait, before. Let me see if I can show Pete. Look at this. All right, this came in the mail to my house. I scratched out my address because I live there. I don't know what else. So,
Before you, Howard Hannah.
yeah, Juliet. I'm moving this a lot, Pete. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. It's probably backwards too.
Hey there. Hi, my name's
I'm gonna move it.
Mark from TV Settlement.
So, real quick, I thought this was interesting and I want to share with you because this agent, Sandy, is doing a better job than we are. No, no, that's all mine. So my neighbors listed their house 2 doors down with a Hannah agent. That's fine. I didn't even try to get it. We don't get along well. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm not even trying. And before the sign, like we knew it was happening because we saw the photographer taking pictures. And before the sign went in the yard, everyone in our neighborhood got this letter on the Howard Hannah letter page, pulled from RPR, y'all easy peasy and free. And the letter says, "Dear John," that's my husband, whose house the name is in, anyways. "I wanted to notify you before a Howard Hannah sign was installed in the yard at 123, I guess you can figure out my address, 129 Stevens Ridge Drive. Often neighbors aren't given advance notice and they regret that they never had the opportunity to notify their friends who potentially could purchase the house and be their new neighbors. Here is some detail so you can speak knowledgeably about this home. 4 bedrooms, 2 full, 1 half bath, large room sizes throughout the home, finished basement with tons of storage, little backyard with a deck, and an above ground swimming pool." I already know that because I can see it. "Please contact me if you would like to schedule a private showing or have any other questions for you and anyone you know." Stop it. She's doing a better job than all of us, right?
All-star realtor.
What if, you don't gotta call her that, Mark. What if for every listing, once we have a listing contract signed, we sent this out to the neighbors? The neighbors might have friends that wanna buy. That's our business, right? Listings are leverage because it generates buyer leads. They might not buy that house, but now I have a pipeline of buyers who need a house. There's no inventory, so that sucks, but we've got people. You know what I'm saying? So I brought this in so we can all look at it and pine over what a much better job Sandy is doing than we are. But we should do this for every new listing. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say about that. Okay. Any thoughts or feedback on that?
That's brilliant. It is a really good idea. That's
Brilliant.
free exposure. That's
It costs for a stamp. It's a letterhead, you know? So you can make letterhead on your own. And you just put our logo right up there and it's called letterhead. And you know what else? You know what else we already have? I'm gonna let Mark take away in a minute, but I'm self-centered. At the expense of us. We don't have our that are bright and colorful for attention. Look at these neon colors. You know?
that's
Because I'm gonna open a pink envelope because I'm super curious. I opened that envelope because I'm super curious too. But I'm just saying, that's a great idea. We should do that. That's all. That's all. I just wanted to share that. I'm just forgetting. Future. Okay. Anyways, we've got Mark. He's with PV Settlement. He's gonna tell you all of the things you need to know. Like all of them.
I hope so. I will do my bestest.
No pressure.
Oh, we have another new friend.
We
Hi,
got Karen and Allison and Keith.
Karen, Allison, and Keith. Again, my name's Mark from TV Settlement over in Green Tree. We've had a great relationship with Keller Williams. You guys have all been phenomenal. If this is the first time I've met you, I look forward to doing deals with you, obviously virtually. Hopefully we get to meet in person sometime if we already have it. So how long has everybody been here? I know you said like 6 months-ish.
2019.
Okay, couple years. And how about you guys, Keith?
Couple of years.
Okay. General consensus, just a couple years, like maybe a year, a couple years. So you guys are obviously very familiar with title. Title insurance is also very big. Obviously on my end, unless you guys are killing it with like 200 deals a month, which I hope you all are. Title insurance really has helped a lot of people. Lenders right now are starting to require it. I can't say all of them, but we have been seeing a lot more come in and say, we want this, whether it be from inflation or flippers or rehabbers. There's a lot of houses changing hands quickly, right? I think we all know that. We're all trying to make money. So I'll just start first and foremost. Has anyone had questions about title that are pressing or like, hey, what do you think about this scenario? I mean, I'm open for any questions.
No, there was an option not to get the title insurance, is that? I mean, unless you do, well, yeah, okay.
Sure.
Let's talk about that.
You can absolutely choose to not do title insurance. Oftentimes liens may come, not oftentimes, but occasionally liens will show up after the fact, after the deed's already been recorded. There was one I read the other day. There was no heir, so it was an estate. There were no heirs. Someone was buying it from a tax sale. Well, no title insurance, no research on the buyer's behalf. 2 years later, something came up. I can't remember what it was. It was an auto loan or a mechanics lien. It was something really simple, but it caused an absolute nightmare. Now that is a special circumstance since it wasn't a estate, no heirs whatsoever, no will. But that would have saved this guy indefinitely. What would have happened was the insurance policy and the insurance company would have went and said, at this time, there were no issues, right? There were no liens, there was no money placed on the property. Because there was, he had to get an attorney, spent, I think, about $10,000 to fight, because that was not his debt to be paid
So did the lien show up after signing?
after the fact.
Can
Right.
that happen?
Absolutely.
Why? I mean, how? Can it not come
So think of it,
immediately?
not every company, like, let's say, Mark Enterprises.
Yeah.
You know, you owe me 10,000.
So let me just see if I understand. At
Sure.
the time of closing, there were no liens.
Nothing showing, nothing is
So
there.
after closing, I could lien on your property. But you're not really my debtor.
Correct, right, the debtor was from the prior occupant,
Exactly.
right, but it doesn't matter, it follows the address. Right, the
Okay.
debt follows that address, it was a lien put on that property,
Okay.
because the prior gentleman did not fulfill his debt, and he died, so really can't do anything.
So the property was still responsible?
He had to pay those legal fees to fight and show that it's not his.
I see.
The $2,000 title insurance policy would have helped avoid,
Oh, because he didn't get the insurance. In the
Well-
beginning.
even if, correct.
But you were gonna say, even if he did,
Even if he did, there still would have been a lien put on the
Yeah.
house.
yeah,
Title insurance would have taken over, he wouldn't have had to
that's
pay
what
any
I mean,
fees.
yes, okay, good.
Right,
Okay, but this is the case that they had, where they had no tax insurance
correct,
at signing
correct.
or closing. or-
Closing,
yes.
I know, I say the same thing, I say signing, closing, people are like, what do you mean, like?
Okay. Yeah,
Put your signature there.
okay, all right, that makes sense.
Absolutely, but to further answer your question, yes, you can absolutely opt,
It's motion sensor, so we don't hit the right motion, they'll do.
we gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, yes, you and your clients, your buyers can totally opt for no title insurance. Absolutely,
But we should do our due diligence prior to.
it is totally due diligence, absolutely, absolutely.
And how much is title insurance? Like, how does it work? Is it percentage based or?
Sure, it is gonna be a percentage base, it's for, on average, between $200,000 and $250,000 property, it's gonna be between $1,800 and $2,100. And that is using a Allegheny County property. 100,000, you're gonna be closer to 11 to 1,300. And that includes, so what is title insurance? Protects the real estate owners, lenders against any property or damage they might experience because of liens, encumbrances, or the defects in the title to the property. Each title insurance policy is subject to specific terms, conditions, and exclusions. So just like our auto insurance or our home insurance, we can say, well, I'm not concerned about mental rights, or I'm not concerned about X, Y, Z. Now, going down and filtering through all that, tell your clients, tell your buyers, listen, just go full scope. The cost difference is minimal. The gentleman we're doing actually over in the Shady Side, 2 properties, one's a restaurant, one's apartment buildings. He's doing a refinance and didn't opt for title insurance the first time. He is absolutely getting it now. Why? Substantiated growth in the area, a strong market, right? So when he goes to sell, it's gonna be so much easier for him to sell the property. Why? Because if realtors have that communication, right? Okay, so he refinanced, he did this, he did that, he has title insurance, everything came back clear, great. Now the new buyer is gonna be like, fantastic, I'm not going to have to worry about it. Does that mean that they don't buy title insurance? No. Because again, people can come back for their money years later. Does it mean they're gonna get it? No. But I'd rather not have to go to those meetings. I'd rather not have to go to court
For the property will not sell, right,
first.
without paying that lien.
Correct.
Yeah.
How about our friends online? Do we have any questions about title?
I do have a question. Is this a monthly fee that's paid or a one-time?
Great question. So that is a one-time fee that's paid that encompasses your entire ownership of the property. So you bought a house today, October 3rd, 2023. That policy starts today, carries on as long as you own the property. There's no deductible, there's no continual pay. It's a one-time fee.
Wow,
Great.
that almost sounds like a no-brainer, you know? Such a small percentage.
It sounds like a no-brainer. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so there's how many people that do.
I'm like doing construction right outside the window, right now. Sorry, guys.
Obnoxious.
So for example, let me run this hypothetical scenario by you.
Right.
There's a property that we're selling. The neighbor claims to have put a lien on the seller and or property. He doesn't really know.
Okay.
And he's telling me as the selling agent, listing agent, there's a lien. Great, my guy, we're gonna deal with this when title comes back, you know?
Sure.
Title comes back, there is no lien to be found. We close,
Mhm.
move on. Guess what? My guy is still calling me, wants to know who the title was, why haven't he been paid because of the lien, this, that, and the other. My brain says one of two things has happened. My guy didn't know what he was doing, did not file the lien, he was hoping to get some money. Or there in fact was a lien, it just hasn't been to whatever point, reported, all that fun stuff. Liens on people get to pay to do that, by the way, and we could pay to lien on somebody.
Correct.
And so let's pretend there actually was a lien that maybe wasn't discovered or wasn't taken effect. If they had title insurance, we're good, the new buyers. If they didn't, stop, right? About fighting.
Right, so you presented exactly the problem. My friend did this in Peters Township. There was an easement, there was a part of public property, an old road that was covered over. It was a race between he and his neighbor to, this going off subject a little bit, but it was a race between his neighbor and him. Who's gonna claim that property first? He had that opportunity to. Using that story and yours, who goes and files paperwork to the township? Or borough, municipality, city, wherever that person lives and wherever you're filing that lien to. The neighbor can say he had a lien, but if he didn't do it, if he didn't follow through. Okay, great, sounds good,
Sucks
Take
for
it.
you.
take it up with my attorney, or, you know, have your attorney call mine, because. Not gonna be my problem.
Yeah.
My problem is the homeowner, or my problem is the title agent. Sorry.
Fair enough, that's what I thought. That was a good one. It's a lot of speed homes to pay for.
Question,
Yeah.
I'm seeing
Mhm.
more often than not, is the water mains
Oh,
after the fence.
right, so the water company, okay, so, perfect question, like. All agents always ask, like, what the hell is going on with title, what's taking so long, what's this, what's that, like, it is the utilities, the Pennsylvania Water. Oh my, they are often the last people to respond whenever we initiate a request. That's what takes so long, I can have a title search back in 5 to 7 days at the latest. They come up after the fact, so PWSA incredibly slow. That is also why. That's also why, at least PV has you pay more or the next month's bill. So whether that be the buyer or the seller, you're always overpaying. There's typically always a refund that's coming back. As far as those water liens are concerned, likely to be covered, but we're not gonna send you to closing. We're not gonna send you to settlement without that final notice. Because like we said earlier, we're not gonna be able to close without, like, the seller is not going to be able to sell the property without satisfying their obligations, their financial obligations. That's why innovations and wholesaling is going nuts. Because these guys are getting a $300,000 property for 120. I mean, there was one case where this guy owed $40,000 to the water company. That ate up his entire profit.
Because he did not have title.
Because he didn't pay his water bills.
Oh.
The title insurance isn't gonna pay whatever bills you don't.
So like you as the seller, the 40,000, it ate up the seller's profit.
Yes.
If you had to pay those.
Places got it.
Yeah,
And novations and wholesaling are great. They're also weird, they're sketchy and sometimes, but at the end of the day, people like that are not good financially, they have no income, they have this property, God knows where they're gonna go afterwards, but novations help people get out of debt.
Hold on, wait, time out, before we dive down that wormhole, would there be any reason to buy title insurance on a new bill? Do lenders require it on new bills?
I love that you asked that, absolutely, and I know that sounds salesy. Well, yes, only because there's a lot of properties, there's a lot of farms, there's a lot of vacant land now where a lot of builders are building, huge homes over in South Park area, like, I don't know if you grew up there, but it's like, there's no land left, right? So, like I mentioned, there were farms, there were private acreages that were divided, that were separated, that were multiple families, absolutely. Also mineral rights with the amount of drilling in Marcellus shale gas that has been going on in southwestern Pennsylvania, absolutely. Traditionally comes in a little bit less because it is a new build. Maybe a couple $100 less, but nothing to scream about. Novations are fun. So wholesaling, I will do my best with novations. It's something that it's a little sketchy for me, just fully understanding, but what a novation is, you have a property, right? Tom comes in and says, I want to buy your house. I'm going to hold it until I have a buyer, right? Which typically happens, you have a seller, you have a buyer, right? That's paradise real estate, right? You have someone who wants to list a home and then you have a buyer lined up immediately, we're closing in 2 weeks, everybody have a great day. So a novation is going to be holding a contract where Tom is coming to the seller, person with the property. Tom, I'm gonna give you $100,000. Again, using that same example, that house is gonna sell for 2 to 250 because Tom, just chose Tom, has a buyer that's willing to pay that, right? So it's one transaction, two transactions at the same time. Now, the person doing the novation, you guys have all heard of 5 APG, they take their cut is their cut, right? So the difference between 100 and 250,000, we all know that. To use the prior example, someone who is back on their water bill, a lot of times that profit, like 5 APG will pay that, and it will cut the seller's profit. Does that make sense? It'll cut, so if he's gonna get a check for $100,000, but he owes EWSA 50,000, that's deducted from his profit. Assuming that there's no lien, outstanding debt or mortgage on the property.
So,
So wholesalers and novation people are doing our job better than we are.
That's great.
They're doing our job better than we are. Well, never mind. I own a lot of properties, my husband and I. We get calls and letters from 5 APG and We Buy Now and blah, 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 blah about selling our properties all the time. And it's super annoying. And my husband gets mad and I'm like, guess what? I'm a listing agent. They're doing my job better than I am because they're doing all the work. They're mining the data. They're beating the street, finding sellers, motivated sellers better than listing agents, right? So wholesaling, we're typically not using, please correct me if I'm wrong, right? I learned a lot of this during that thing we did.
Yeah.
Wholesaling, we're typically not using a mortgage, it's usually cash, right? I currently am buying a property who was put on the internet by a wholesaler for cash, because it's a piece of crap. We're going through PV with a week and a half closing, right? Closing maybe on Friday. Novations are a little bit nicer, where we can typically do some type of mortgaging, right? We're talking the motivated seller needs $100,000 to get out of the house, but we know as the novation person, I don't know what it's called, right? Wholesaler versus novation person, I don't know. That I have a buyer, a back-end buyer who's gonna pay 200, they're gonna get a loan for it, I'm just gonna middleman the whole deal. And I've done nothing but connected two parties together and I'm walking away with $50,000, $10,000, whatever it is, doesn't matter. They turn and burn so fast. They're just doing our job better than we are. They're finding motivated sellers. I'll die on that hill.
They're doing, and we have talked to many of them. I don't know what their secret is, like even Ryan Shalaba, he's like, I'm just out there. I'm just making that all he's doing is making calls. All he's doing is searching Facebook. All he's doing is driving. Like, it sounds so stupid. Like, yeah, right, Mark. Like, how the hell has he made so much money? Because he's doing the dumb things that none of us want to do. Not a single one of us.
He drives up to a property, sees one, right? What are the tells us a little bit of distress? Property, you can look at public record and see if they're behind on taxes. He calls them, he sends them mail, he knocks on their door. He's making more money than we are. Question, you kind of touched on this before, but in the case where the seller had $40,000 in liens from the water company, how is that handled at closing?
So again, putting it simply, for myself, I'm not saying this to you, putting it simply, so let's say the house is for sale for, easy math, $200,000. The seller owes $100,000. So quick math tells us there's $100,000 worth of profit, right? That goes through. So what happens is when we do the title search, we get the liens, we have past debt, right? We are saying, great, this money is going to be in escrow. We, the settlement company, we're not using it for lunch, we're not using it for anything else. I think we all understand that. Once documents are signed, money's exchanged, the seller does not get paid out until their debts are paid in full. That's the easiest way to say. Now, when you get into owing money, so let's say they're selling for $200,000 and they owe $200,000. They're coming out even. I'll be honest, I haven't seen much of that yet. It's going to happen. In that case, my goodness, that is gonna be a nightmare. You'd have to get a private loan of some sort, you borrow money from a family member, that's gonna be difficult. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that, but great question. And again, I think it's been said a couple of times, like title insurance is not going to, title insurance is really for the buyer, right? So like that example I used where a lien came back a couple years later, the gentleman had passed away, house sold at tax sale. Taxes are paid, government doesn't care, right? As long as they get their money, oh, there's a lien on the property, that's a you problem, it's not a they problem.
At a tax sale, all debt is erased, isn't it?
Negative,
Pardon
negative.
me? Okay, what do you see commonly show up?
Well, I'll keep in touch because I literally just got one yesterday over the weekend. I'll let you know how it goes. I'll personally follow up with you. This will be my first one where it came from a tax or sheriff's.
Oh,
As far as taxes are concerned, yes, like taxes, anything over the county or the city, the boroughs, yes, those need to be satisfied. So all they want, it's like banks don't want property, they don't want the house, they want their money.
oh, okay, just clarification now.
Yeah,
If you buy a tax sale or sheriff's sale,
sure,
there's some properties that are not white. Unless they say free and clear,
some will say free and clear,
and those are clean titles.
always do, like you said before, always do your due diligence. I would rather do it. Even if I wasn't in title, I looked at several properties before and then title came back, oh my God, they owed as much as, because of all the collected debt, they owed as much as the house was gonna be worth, so I'm not,
So free and clear from sheriff's sale.
you're taking their word for it.
Okay, so how do you go about a title insurance after you've purchased from sheriff's sale
Sure,
a free and clear property, because they sell different properties
sure.
at sheriff's sale, foreclosure, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for instance,
Where does title come in that transaction?
so, if I'm understanding correctly, hearing you correctly, that's going to protect you. If all that comes back, you do your title search, providing you have enough time, like let's say in 2 weeks, you have a property right now that you want to bid on in a sheriff's sale in 2 weeks. You do that title search now, you get back as much information as possible. If all you see that is owed is back taxes, right, fantastic, do your math, see what makes sense, what you're gonna submit your bid for. At that time, you come back to PD settlement and we process that transaction just like a normal buyer seller.
Alright,
So what that does is you're satisfying, the property is gonna be satisfied with taxes, right, because you're paying. Because you wanna take ownership of the house, right? So with purchasing title insurance, that's saying, Mark, on this date, purchase this house from the county, city, local, wherever, starting fresh.
okay, that's, okay, so maybe I'm missing something, but
Yeah,
I'm
Talk to me.
thinking that if it's coming up free and clear as a sheriff's sale. Free and clear, again, that's saying it's free and clear, there are no liens. They've erased the liens in lieu of maybe somebody else knows more on mine or whatever, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, as
Who
far
does
as,
that, has had that experience. You look like you might know. He.
What?
Oh, what? Have you
No, I don't know.
had-
As far as like a sheriff's sale, I don't know. I've seen that happen and I know people have done it privately, but I don't know how that works. Usually that's all taken care of with the courts. As long as the court's satisfied, then should be fine. But I've seen people do that, like buy a house just for taxes. Usually it needs a lot of work and then they'll fix it up and resell it on their own. But
right. I guess my perspective where I'm probably confusing you is, they say it's free and clear. In my world, things have been before, right?
Yeah,
I'll pay the $200, $300 to make sure. an independent look.
Would that be before you get it free and clear?
Oh, yeah,
So-
before you purchase, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's like, think of it as like buying like a certified, buying a pre-owned car. If you buy a used car or a pre-owned car, whatever verbiage you use, versus a certified pre-owned car. Think of it that way, where certified says this car is as close to new condition as possible, according to the manufacturer's guidelines. The county or the city or whomever is telling you that, it's free and clear. Maybe this is just like, I'm jaded or personal, like, no, I'll spend a couple $100 just to make sure. I understand, like, they're the ones reporting taxes, they're the ones reporting liens, they're the ones doing that. I'm gonna confirm them. How many common mistakes do we make every day?
Human error, it's all documented by humans,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? So it's like the house, our scenario we were talking about earlier, right? We said, seller owed back taxes, and we were like, we're gonna convey clear title, which means he was gonna pay those taxes off at closing. It does not account for crazy neighbor who may or may not have put a lien that nobody knows about. So we're gonna convey clean title to the best of our ability, right? To the best of everyone's knowledge. What someone else has done in the meantime and going and reporting that lien,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, and again, call me jaded, thank you for stepping in, like. I want that proof, because if I come back and say, well, Mr. Sheriff, you told me it was free and clear, here's the listing, here's this and that, they'll be like. Don't care.
Yeah.
We're the county, don't care,
That's exactly.
they don't. It's like a water bill, come on, like for a year, you're telling me I owe 40 grand? No, it's all the fines, it's all the compounding, it's all this and that. So you get your title search done, you do insurance at that point and say. Sorry, Mr. Sheriff. I've done my due diligence, I've done everything to prove that that I don't owe you anything. Stick it to the man. Awesome, what else we got?
So what happens when we write it off? It gets accepted, yay, right, we know buyer for fixed title, then what do I do? How do I tell you what I need you to do title?
Excellent, so I will. Cards are here, my contact information's here, so. I need the offer, the acceptance, I need it, everything that you have in your possession, send it my way, obviously property address, names, numbers, blah, 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 lenders, cash. I need to know absolutely everything. What I do at that point is I assign it to my processor, my initial intake processor. They do a whole bunch of witchcraft, so they're the ones specifically ordering the title search. They are figuring out where the property is, where's the tax office, all of the utilities, any potential issues that come up from there. It's just a matter of putting together the HUD, putting together an offer sheet, putting together our costs, your costs, who's gaining what at closing, who needs to be there? Are we signing electronically? Is this person out of state? Is there any stipulation about being out of state? All of that takes a lot of time. And a lot of time, let's say several days with about 6-7 people working on it. That's what we have.
So what are some of the fees that you guys as a settlement company must charge? Because I've used several settlement companies and they have different fees.
Sure, so you will see.
I want to know what's the baseline, because I don't know, there are other settlement companies that put in all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
So
sure.
before I knew better, I just figured it was normal. Right? Were you on that page?
So this is just my experience, right? I still have a very near and dear settlement company that I have two that I use. One, PB is the other. Someone, I don't even know, she used to live in Pittsburgh, works for PB. Hounding me, calling me. One thing to use PB, one, and I'm like, yeah, I know Megan, I know, I'm like, yeah. She's like, please let me buy you one. I'm real dating, I've never turned down coffee, that's like my fifth one of the day. So, I go, and she's like, we have an app, cool. So does everyone else. So she goes, pull up the one that you use. So I pull up my near dear settlement company app. She pulls up PB's app. we put in the same address, so it populates the same taxes. We put in the same closing date, the same purchase price, money down, we put everything is the same. TV settlement was gonna save my client $4,500 split cost.
Yeah, you don't need settlement,
That
that
was-
would have been the
That was big,
least amount.
I would like.
Yes, I'm just comparing.
Go ahead, Mark will tell you about it, but that's just my personal experience with different closing costs and.
Yeah.
And how that worked and how I converted, because if I was to buy $500,
Yeah,
stop it, think about it, and then make sure I tell them that too.
yeah.
Literally, that is something to brag about. If you're struggling with sales, you're struggling with like, what do I tell people about myself? That, tell them exactly how you're saving them money. $500 may be nothing to someone, but okay, great. That may come up in conversation on the back porch one day, you know, when they're having beers with their friends or whatever, like. Let me see, so.
Didn't know you guys had an app, that's interesting.
Sure do.
Sure do.
Let's see, so I'm gonna put 250, to broadly answer your question, for instance. Alright, here's our app.
Okay.
Many other settlement title companies, they have fluffing fees, right? They say, well, because Mark had to drive, they can increase their fees, there's a state minimum, there's a state. People charge whatever they think you're willing to pay, right? That's this business. Someone is willing to pay what they think it's worth. And the biggest struggle over COVID and everything is, I think we all know, there's some houses that sold that are not worth what they sold for, right? So the same thing goes for title. Why people charge more? Money hungry.
Okay, so is there like a bottom line fee, because maybe I'm just not wanting to do that now, but does it add up?
So when you talk about fees, right, let me pull one up. Actually, I probably have one. Oh, boy.
No, no. Just showing it, I didn't know if you wanted to see it or not. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So for our friends online, there's the title policy. So I put in a purchase price of $250,000, 10% down. Title policy fee, and this is in Allegheny County, $2,074. Closing fee, $175. Doc prep fee, $125. Closing protection letter, $125. Wire/courier fee is $45. I think we upped that to $90. Because we're getting charged more. Endorsement, $300, pretty standard. State transfer tax, $1250, excuse me, city transfer tax, $1250, which if in Pittsburgh, that's gonna be a lot more,
Yeah, Allegheny County is what, 5%,
4.5 or 5.
4.5% transfer tax, right, which typically is split between buyer and seller. Typically.
Typically,
On your normal retail sale, the transfer tax is split.
Say that again, it's five, you said five.
It's about 4.5 in Allegheny County, the city of Pittsburgh,
Okay.
city of Pittsburgh.
Oh.
Cities of
okay.
So then if you're in outlying areas, Penn Hill,
Yeah.
Baltimore, or whatever, you, in their app, to pick what it is, it's not listed, and it's not the city of Pittsburgh, because all other municipalities, whatever, then it's what, 1%?
one,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know more about that than I thought I did.
Yes, you do. Probably St. Clair, for instance, I think at 1.5.
Yeah.
And you're talking the city 4.5, like, I know from the South Hill, but I'd rather live in Upper St. Clair than the city, like.
Yeah, except it's so far away from everything.
Correct.
So I'm seeing, on the settlement sheet, the wire and the courier fee.
Mhm.
Even if you don't use a courier or a wire, why is that fee there?
So,
Cause I had a client complain about that,
oh yeah, it's,
and they forgave it, they removed it. Why is it there, but it's on all of them?
so things like that, whenever fees get waived, it's helped preserve the sale, right? And that's what builds a relationship,
Yeah.
whether you go to X X, Y, or Z title company, I'm not gonna use any names, because you only need PV anyway. It is to preserve the relationship, right? Now, does that mean we do it at every sale? No. Does that mean you ask for it at every sale? Like, really, we're gonna bicker over 90, 50, $100? Like, okay, well, maybe that's really important to the buyer, right? Maybe that's really, really important. $90 is the majority of what we're charged from the banks and from to administer wires or send checks, to print checks, to mail checks, because they are overnighted. FedEx ship rate, I think our average overnight is like 48, 52 bucks.
So that's, okay, I'm just here because I need clarification on something, please.
Yeah,
So does that fee come into effect when, if it's an out-of-state buyer or non-present buyer signing in person? Because typically, the closing company brings the check based upon the settlement sheet to the closing.
that's not just for your checks. That's with the lenders and everybody, everywhere money's exchanging hands. Not only just with us, buyer, seller, agents, but the lenders as well. And some of them have their own fees that we get to pay. It might be minimal, but why should I pay? Why should the title company pay?
Yeah, well, this was a cash transaction, so there were no
Okay.
lenders involved. And so
Oh, I
the
think,
fee shows up on every settlement statement, so I'm just
Oh, yeah.
curious.
great point. If it's a cash transaction, like, yeah, sure. I mean, that also comes into account with mailing. If I cannot electronically file, Allegheny County, you can, the majority of things you can, but for instance, Armstrong County, Lawrence County. I think Westmoreland's finally getting on board, where we have to mail documents. I mean, that could be 15, 20 bucks, that could be, so it's just a flat fee like anything, but your example is great. It's a cash transaction, like, hey man, there's nothing to wire.
Right, exactly,
There's
but it's
nothing-
on every settlement sheet. So is that a fee that you can negotiate?
In an instance like that, where you feel it's like, hey man, there's cash, it's a cash deal, like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Another fee of, if you close at PV, we'll waive that fee, it's $100 or $105, because I'm paying my notary or a notary to come up to wherever you are. So just.
Yeah,
come.
notary, I get that, that fee is totally,
Yeah.
it's always there too, but yes, you need that,
Right.
so that's,
Right.
to you, it's different.
I mean, a lot of times, like, on the buyer side, right, there are oftentimes lenders, we have to pay them whatever the lender charge is. Or on the sell side, right, there's a mortgage payoff that has to get paid, so there's just money coming all over the place, out the wazoo, right, or we have to pay off the water bill or the this, right, like. There is all this money.
Awesome. How about our friends online? We have anything else? Any question whatsoever?
Okay, I have another one, nobody else does, because again, I didn't have a settlement class as a new agent,
Okay.
so I'm still, figuring some things out, yes.
So.
Yeah, so now I've noticed that there are two different types of insurances. What's that difference?
Two different types of
There's a
title
premium
insurance.
insurance and then there's the standard. What's going on with that?
I'll be honest with you, I am not supremely well versed in that difference. I'm happy to research and get you a full thorough answer.
Yeah.
I don't want to feed you,
Okay,
I don't want to feed you anything.
yeah, thank you, I appreciate that.
Of course.
Yeah,
We only sell premium, like, so my history, like, I've only been in luxury, Highline, I've only been in that sector, not because I want to, but I communicate well with them. So, of course, just like selling your homes or whatever sales techniques you have, I know if I just choose premium, if I have a client who's like, whatever, I don't care, get it done, just make sure all my bases are covered. Is that what we're doing to all of our agents? No, there's another option that, let me get a real answer for you, between standard and,
okay.
in my mind, just think of it as all your bases being covered, but let's figure out what those other bases.
I see, good, thank you.
Of course.
Y'all have any questions?
None for me.
Ah.
Thanks for the presentation.
Is it,
Thank you. I wish you could have been here.
is it important for title and lenders to get along well together?
Absolutely, absolutely, without a
Say
doubt.
it again now. Is it important for our title and our lenders
Yeah,
to have a good working relationship?
yeah, absolutely, without a doubt.
What do you think about PV?
Fantastic, yeah.
No pressure.
No, seriously, we've connected and we talked about game plans and strategies. I'll be honest with you, a good title company is somebody you never hear from, you know, I'll be honest with you, you know. And then when you do hear from them, at least they're, you know, willing to make it work, and you guys are, so yeah, I can't say enough.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome.
And that is important, you know, you have your buyers, you have your mortgage options. Obviously, everybody at this office is gonna use Todd and they're gonna wanna use me, right? We all know that people have their own relationships, but in an instance like this, call or text me, or if you guys have questions, you know, when something comes up, you're like, this seems fishy, something doesn't sound right, use me. That's the thing, I always tell on social media that you're not gonna wait for an answer. I don't care if it's, you know, in the middle of the night or on the weekend, whenever. Communication is key.
Okay, Mark. I have a question. I don't know if anybody else is having similar questions, but that's why I came in person, because I just wanted to answer some things.
Yeah, and I know like some, like, you know, high producing agents, they really take ownership of it. They're like, yeah, this is my team, this is who I want you to use, because guess what? I can leverage that relationship to get deals done. You know, other people are like, okay, well, use whoever you want, you know, and have no control, then they have no influence, you know, so I do know a lot of like really successful agents, they're like, yeah, this is my team, this is who I want you to use. You know why? Because I can then guarantee that's gonna get done on time, and if it doesn't, you know, they're gonna step through hoops because they want my business, you know?
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of good agents do that. So.
For example, with PV, only because I know Megan, Mark, and everyone over there so well, one of our agents, he was using PV. Closing came and it was a mobile notary and they only picked up half the file from PV's office. They didn't have it. This was 5 o'clock, 4:30 on Friday. Sellers didn't have their check. If it's a title company I'm not comfortable with, like our agent, I think it only used them 1 or 2 times. Mobile notary is like, we're gonna mail it $200,000 check. I was like, no, we're not. And I got this call and I was like, hey, we gotta get this straightened out. And Sophia, over at PV, she was like, I'm getting in the car right now, driving it over. Right? That's that relationship where it's just like, do I always expect you guys to jump through hoops? Absolutely not. I'm gonna jump through hoops for y'all, but when I send all of my business,
Right,
so I kept telling them like, oh, we ran into a hiccup, we're like, we're gonna figure this out,
yeah.
right?
And we'll do that from day one, and thank you, I remember that,
It was like 2 weeks ago or so. So I'm like, this is what happened today.
And on a Friday, no less, yeah.
it's the only way it would work.
Yeah, right?
And she was like, "Don't rush out." She's like, I'm on my way up. I love you.
Great.
I love you.
Let's say that I'm getting ready to look at a property.
Mhm.
And I want, and it's a wholesale,
I'll be here, like, you guys need me.
yeah.
I'll be.
Thank you, Todd.
What if I call you and say, look, I might want to buy this property, can you run a preliminary search? Would you they charge for something like that?
Last time I did that. Under $200.
Okay, and how long does it usually take?
Any title search is gonna be. So for instance, that one we did, St. Clair, just wanted to see what the county was, right?
Yeah.
What taxes were owed, if there was any mortgages, if there was anything. It's under $200, I mean, that's still gonna take 5 to 7 days.
Really?
Which brings up a great point, you know, we already talked about, PWSA taking forever. There's really no secret backdoor to getting a title, making sure there's a clear title. It does take that long. So we're not fluffing the air or forgot about it or, but great point, you know, that's something I did, that's something some wholesalers have done.
Yeah.
If they're not getting any action, if they're not getting any response, okay, cool. I'd rather spend $200 instead of 200,000
Yeah.
and have a junk house or owe someone a lot more money, you know? I hate to say it because it's such a commonly and broad phrase, but your due diligence, I mean, you're not making the payments for your buyers, right? We're hoping that they are. You were just going to guide them as best as you know how and point out things that you see and just like our relationship with Keller Williams and PV, you want to, and the mortgage company, you want to make sure that, okay, this makes sense to me.
Hey, listen,
This is
I
fair.
know that you probably have conventional finance company. All over, all of us.
Real quick.
Y'all have any other questions? Do you understand that as a buyer agent, you get to influence who we use for title? I mean, word that appropriate. The buyer gets to pick, but
You do have the opportunity, you know, in
just
the,
recording, guys.
in the state of Pennsylvania, every buyer has their right to choose, right? Again, guiding people in the right, we're not going to Todd just because Todd is, we know Todd's process, that's the point, utilizing your network and your connections. We know that he's gonna take care of you, we know that he's gonna take care of our clients. Title, just the same. If you guys wanna talk, do coffee, grab a drink, grab some dinner, some lunch, please, I mean,
Bro, take them out on lunch.
please.
We go to lunch.
Yeah, pretty much no spending limit, so.
We didn't say like all of Familia or anything,
Right.
but.
Well, haven't been there for a minute.
That's fine. No one can buy coffee, guys. Thousand. There, I don't know, she knows she can't buy. You have a question, Allison?
Nope, no questions. Thanks again for the presentation.
Thank you.
I will probably be reaching out to you with questions. Yes, definitely.
Awesome, I'll get your guys' email, I'll send you a couple of the handouts that I had here today, hopefully you utilize it and use me.
Good.
Thank you, Allison.
So just recap for all of our new guys, right? If you have a buyer and you go under agreement. Your buyer picks, you send the fully executed agreement of sale, oil, gas, and mineral rights over to settlement in your email, your buyers, their contact information, who the lender is, the listing agent information, send it all, wrap it up very beautifully. When the estimated close date is, if there's anything weird, right? Like, hey, FYI, sellers are getting divorced. You might know that as a buyer's agent. Hey, FYI, my buyers are going to be out of the country when we actually close on this, right? So we're gonna have to wire in advance, they're not gonna be there, PA the wet signature state, which means we're sending documents, getting it notarized, sending them back. What is your process? What is your, send as much info as you have. Kick it over to them, and they're gonna get the process started. They're gonna send you forms for your buyers to fill out, they're gonna be in touch with your touch every 5 days, you hear from somebody that the ball bounces, I mean. Thing, but is it 5 days?
At the most, yeah, there's,
5 days, there's an update.
and everyone's on the same email thread, you're not
Yeah.
gonna have, it's same thread, nice and easy. I thank you for explaining that a lot more thoroughly than I did, but I say give me everything you have, so I'm not calling you like, Alice, where's this, where's that, like. If you've been given a piece of information that has to do with this deal and this client that you're submitting to me, I likely need to see it.
Yeah, so, is it, because I just added you to my docket or something, is that sufficient versus just sending like a PDF or something, because it's so much easier.
Get it to me anyway.
Right.
You tell me, That's the thing about being flexible, is you tell me how you can get it to me, I will figure it out, I will be,
Yeah.
don't care.
Okay.
You wanna meet for coffee, you wanna meet in the morning, I don't care, you wanna email fax. One guy last week, all he wants to do is fax, like, first of all, you're crazy, but okay,
That's crazy.
I don't know anymore.
Jackson, we still have her.
Oh, yeah,
Wait.
pretty sure he has an agenda block.
Yeah, the other thing, and again. Whatever, I love PB, here's the other thing. They work in the beginning of their business, it's still a good bit, just because they know they're doing, with a lot of wholesalers and innovation deals. And oftentimes we are talking about a lot of liens, a lot of back taxes, and a lot of nonsense. And so they're good with all of the crazy, right? Like, that's where they got started in titles. So when we send them a retail deal, where it's just a very smooth seller selling, buyers buying, we've got a mortgage, we only owe that, like. That's a walk in the stinking park. So when something ridiculous does come up, they don't go for a while time. They're like, oh yeah, no problem, we've already dealt with this before.
Easy.
Right? So it's like, cause what happens with this, what happens with this? Hold up, I don't even know, because I don't work in title, but the title company is saying it's out all the things, plus more, like, we can trust that they're gonna figure it out. That's part of bulletproofing your transaction, when you're working with a title company that knows what the heck they're doing to get that thing to close.
Great point, love.
What, why am I on their payroll?
No, you're doing Alice Million.
I'll stay here. Just saying. Sorry, we've worked with the, yeah, he's on the listening side,
Okay.
on some deals that you shouldn't be sent to PD. Sometimes you get a title company that's not good. I can think of two in particular, when their name comes up, I'm like, oh.
Yes,
Go.
You can just share that in private.
Right? Yeah, not on a regular, I get some.
I get you.
So what, perfect example, don't say the names,
Yeah.
whatever, but what makes a bad title company for you? Why?
Yeah, so the one in particular, when I've literally seen their name as listing agent, I'm like, is that really who we're gonna go with? You didn't want to reconsider somebody else? That's how bad it was, so, number one, their communication was awful. I mean, like, I would have to email over and over to try to get any information about what was going on, where we were on getting things back. I'm an experienced agent, I know that Jordan Tax and PwC takes forever, but like updates are super cool, right? When I say communicating, there were a lot of back taxes on this particular property. The seller had owned a lot of properties and they all got liens for back taxes. But many had been sold and a lot of those liens had already been paid off. And so we're going back and forth with title about what was due, what was not, and we're sending them proof of payment. And so I send them proof of payment on a tax and they go, okay, that one's clear, good to go. Okay, that one's clear, good to go. That's a direct quote. My brain says, you realize that was paid and we're moving on. The day of closing, an hour before we're signing, I get the final HUD. It shows they're holding $57,000 in escrow for back taxes. And I was like, I don't understand, because you said clear, good to go. And they were like, yes, that just means that this is here and we're moving forward with closing. I was like, that is not what those words mean.
It's not.
That's not what those words mean. And so that closed a year ago, we're still fighting to release money in us from that time. Right, we've got 17,000 of it released back to us, but we're still fighting with the rest. For one. Number two, the other one, my personal preference, I do not like that Qualia platform, or whatever the hell it is. What is it called?
That's,
A quarter. I took it like QULI, clearly it's green, the check mark.
Yeah.
I don't like a portal, I wanna talk to a human.
Yes.
I want to report it to human, I don't want to upload stuff into a portal,
I don't need.
so I just don't like it. So companies that do that, I'm already like, hate this, so do it, and there's one that, I don't know why, but they think that Keller Williams is corporate. And they send all of our commission checks to our corporate office. Guess what? We are all independently owned and franchised. We don't have a corporate office.
This is it.
This is it. And so our settlement checks are being sent to the North office. The North is not doing anything with them. So we're not getting settlement checks. And I confirmed 19 times our address, where to send it to. It says it on the commission paperwork. And we had it taken care of, we had it closing in December. Up until a month ago, she had not been paid because the check has been lost in the mail. It has been stopped twice and resent by snail mail for some reason. It's never made it. So I had closing with the same company, never received my check. Well, I don't know about this other agent who was cool with waiting for 9 months, but I wasn't. So I'm on the phone with their office manager and I was like, where are my checks? Right? So then I had to fight with him because of stop payment, and that's what, he was like, yeah, your address is 59151. Well, don't they all go to corporate? I'm like, you just told on yourself, you're afraid the person you sent is the wrong address. So then I had to get them to handle it over here, because I know. So that's, ask questions.
Because we don't do this for free. Not a single one of us is here today doing it. This speech,
Oh.
this meeting, this anything. None of us are working for free. I'm a volunteer firefighter. That's all my free time. This is for money. We're here to serve our clients. We're here to serve our partnerships. Something as simple as that. That's why Sophia came out. Megan drove to Ligonier at one point,
You know what
like,
I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm stuck.
you wanna wait? I don't. Yeah, we're fired up now. Let's all get a self-sustaining house.
Yeah.
Let's go.
No, it's an R EV.
And you're down in the strip. You're next to one of my favorite places, Aslan, and oh my gosh.
God, you spend too much time down there.
I do. I love it.
They've got great Wi-Fi.
I-
Yeah. I know, that's right.
Funny.
The Fur Coffee is really good. Right across the street. Mhm.
What is it?
I was there
Good
earlier.
burger.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Kind of-
DEFEO. Phenomenal.
Oh,
They have a new.
Fish.
Well, they have their
Which is new.
Yeah.
Oh, they're on the other side, actually, like behind her, down a little bit.
I see, okay. You recommend them, Alice? Okay.
Yeah, they're really tasty. And I don't really like coffee that much, so they're pretty good.
Oh.
It's a nice, yeah, a nice space to sit in and work too.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
a beautiful day too. Yes, finally.
Oh, it's fall. It's not, I should not be wearing a tank top with slip on. It's 80-degree weather in October.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Sweater.
Pumpkins.
Give me heat.
Pumpkins, leaf, corn stalks. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Anyone else? Y'all, when we're freezing in 2 months, you can blame me. All right.
Very nice to meet everybody.
I'll give Mark your guys' information so he can email you so you have his information.
Sounds good.
Will be.
Thank you, guys.
See you later.
Thank you.
Was there
Bye, everyone.
fun?
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Stop recording.
Excuse me.